Welcome, I'm so glad you're here. This is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the all-new third generation Subaru Crosstrek Sport. It's in a color called ice silver metallic, and although these are quite popular in the United States, selling over 150,000 some model years, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It has a couple detrimental flaws and things that I get to point out. So I'm going to show you it from top to bottom in this review. We'll do a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, and then my final thoughts to help you decide, what do you do with the Subaru Crosstrek Sport? Are you going to be one of the 150,000 people to buy one this year? Or are you going to leave it at the lot and look at the competition? Big thanks to Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow theirs to show you. I'm going to link it below if you're interested. Otherwise, let's dive right in with this review. You need to know that the Subaru Crosstrek really isn't much more than a lifted Impreza. It's a subcompact crossover. And the first generation of these came out back in 2013. The second generation came out in 2018. So this 2024 third generation is more of an evolutionary refresh rather than a revolutionary redesign. And that's not a knock, because the Imprezas are actually quite good. But something I'm really glad Subaru did is add LED headlights across the board as standard equipment. These also have the Gen 4 eyesight system, which is better than the Outbacks and the Foresters on most trim levels. So now the adaptive safety features, they feel more grown up. You can see how much better it can take a curve now, and it's less likely to bump you out of your lane. But when you go Crosstrek Sport like this, you get a lot of other little goodies. You get the 18-inch black wheels, you get all the yellow trim pieces and accents, you have some upgraded seats with a fancy design, and you have the 2.5-liter boxer engine. Speaking of, the 2.5-liter boxer Crosstreks are now made in Lafayette, Indiana. That's new for this year. Whereas the 2 liters are made in Japan and then they're shipped over to the United States. Subaru has overall done a pretty good job keeping these affordable for most people. There's 5 trim levels for 2024, and a base model starts at about the same as last year, which is only 25,000 bucks before destination or any other goodies that you put on it. So for all that you get, LED headlights, the all-wheel drive, the capability and the reliability that Subaru Crosstrek offers, it's a pretty good value. If you're gonna go Crosstrek Sport though, like this is number 3 of the 5 trim levels. They start at about 29,000. After destination, it's about 30 grand. And then if you have a few extra goodies like this one has, it's closer to 33,000. These have 8.7 inches of ground clearance, a final drive ratio of 3.70, and then Subaru symmetrical mechanical all-wheel drive, which puts the competition that's front-wheel drive bias to shame. They weigh 3,300 to 3,400 pounds depending on the engine you go with. And then they can tow about 1,500 pounds. But if you get the Crosstrek Wilderness, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds, which is pretty impressive. You could tow a Crosstrek behind a Crosstrek. And then these have a payload capacity of only 900 pounds though. So you can only hold 900 pounds worth of people or stuff with you. So pick who or what wisely when you're gonna go on your road trips. They're roughly 14.7 feet long, 6 feet wide, and 5.3 feet tall. The wheelbase is just under 9 feet, so it's pretty planted on the road. And then they can do a full circle in 35 feet. The last things to mention out here is the gas door is located on the passenger side. When the vehicle's locked, so is the gas door. When the vehicle's unlocked, so is the gas door, so no one's gonna be siphoning your fuel. This has a 16.6 gallon tank, which is unchanged from the last model year. And it gets 26 city, 33 highway, so you're gonna be getting up to 550 miles of road trips before you run out of fuel and have to walk to the gas station. The wheels are Falcon tires. It's a 225/55/18. The black wheels look really good, but unfortunately you only get a compact spare in the rear. And then leave the key in your pocket, which does have lock, unlock, hatch release, and panic button, because it's a proximity key. So you can lock and unlock the vehicle with the push of a finger. The door panel looks very Subaru in design. You have a cloth door card, nice soft touch armrest, some Hobby Lobby stitching, fake carbon fiber theme around the handle, all of your buttons and your switches, small bottle holder with some snacks, they really need to extend that, and then an unnamed speaker. Nothing on the door sill. Subaru Crosstrek mats, aluminum pedals, hood release fuse box. Your lighting, more carbon fiber theme, ventilation, lighting stock. And then these are the newly redesigned 10-way power adjusted driver's seat with the sunroof up top. Sitting inside here is a pretty good place to be, very human-centric, very comfortable, but a lot of darker materials. Let's fire it up with the push button start. The needles dance, the Subaru emblem appears, and it roars to life with the 2.5-liter boxer. Because it's a CVT, you have paddle shifters to simulate the 8 gears that this pretends it has. The horn sounds pretty decent. A little bit high pitched though. And then voice and volume controls on the left. With the toggle switch right here, you can go through the infotainment screen. And then adaptive cruise control settings on the right of the wheel. If you don't like using eyesight cruise control, push the cruise control button and then hold the top left distance button. You'll hear the beep, the icon changes, and now it's not using adaptive cruise anymore. Otherwise, this is the 11.6-inch screen. A lot of us don't like it because everything is tied to it, all the HVAC controls. There's not enough physical buttons and knobs. We still have a couple, but I don't like that everything else is now in the touch screen. And then you have a couple plugins, an aux, wireless charger, piano black around the shifter, which when you go to the reverse camera, it's kind of grainy. The trajectory lines do move, but it's not my favorite. And then you have the 2 stages of X mode up top, which you can only access through the screen. Then you have an electronic parking brake, heated seats, a blank button, couple cup holders, 12 volt, and the old carryover CD tray. This doesn't have a CD player, Subaru, but I guess they didn't want to redesign that with this new generation. Hence, the evolutionary redesign, not a refresh completely. But pretty big center console. And then up top you have your garage door openers, your dimming mirrors, your compass. These are really cool side mirrors. You have turn signals, blind spot monitoring, and then up top LED lighting, and all of your controls for the power moonroof with a physical sunshade. But let's turn the car off. Let's hop in the back and see what else it has to offer. The rear door panel follows the same theme and design language, although the materials used are a little bit different. We don't have cloth here, but we still have basically the same soft touch armrest with a 10-finger handle. Our window switch, our water bottle holder, our snack pocket, and our unnamed speaker. A little bit of traction right here in case you have to step up to the roof rails. And then this is the 40 split, which is easy to lift and lower. The seats are very light. And then you can see the new designed seats. They follow the same theme in the back as well. I'm 5'11". Sitting behind myself, I have a few inches of room to stretch my feet. Enjoy wearing Chacos. I know some of you guys love the Chacos. Otherwise, it looks pretty good from back here. There's a lot of natural light that comes in, which counters a lot of the darker materials back here. But you do have another plug-in over here. And then you actually have center armrest, something that the 2nd generation Subaru Crosstrek did not have. But let's hop out the back and I'll show you the hatch area. Back here, there's 3 ways to get into the hatch without breaking the back glass. You can either climb through the back seat, you can unlock it with the remote, or you can unlock it with the button that's underneath the Subaru emblem, which we're gonna have to do anyways to lift it because it's not a power lift gate. Although I really like this black trim piece that's new on this generation. There's also a secret pin code, and I have a video on how to set it. Back here, you have 20 cubic feet of room with the seats up. If you drop them down, you have 55. You actually can get an aftermarket mattress back here, do a little bit of car camping, but it's definitely much, much tighter than something like a Forester or an Outback. You have an incandescent light, a few places to tie things down. You have a dog bowl on each side, and then underneath the all-weather mat, you have a Snickers compartment because if you have to change your spare tire that's not a full size, you're not going to be acting yourself. You're not going to be in a good mood. And Subaru knew that going into their redesign. So good for them. Up top though, nothing really on the hatch other than the handle to throw it down. Thankfully, those shocks compress pretty well and it's not too difficult to do. And then the passenger side door panel follows the same theme and design languages. No surprises back here. This is the 60 split. It's a little bit heavier than the 40, although not too bad. And then the child safety tethers are on the back of the seat. And then your backseat driver goes behind the shotgun seat because that's the backseat map pocket. There's not one of those on the driver's side. And then if you do get a ride shotgun, you get a bigger door panel. You get the Hobby Lobby stitching. You get the carbon fiber knockoff theme. And unnamed speaker. Nothing on the door sill. Crosstrek all-weather mats, which do look really nice. Non-power seat, but our backpack is held on tight, having a good time, and enjoying just getting to ride along for the day. No extra storage on the side, nor above the glove box. The glove box is fairly small, no plugins, but it holds what it needs to hold. Let's come around to the front. I'll pop the hood and I'll show you what the 2.5 liter boxer looks like on this Crosstrek Sport. Under the hood is the 2.5 liter boxer, which is the engine that you want if you can swing it. These make 182 horsepower, 178 foot-pound-feet of torque, which is about 30 horse and torque more than the 2 liter naturally aspirated engine from the regular Crosstrek. Air goes through the grill, through the filter in the box, the piping, the plumbing to quiet it down, the throttle body, and then the upper intake manifold runners. These are seriously such a well laid out engine. A lot of Maintenance items are honestly pretty easy on this. You have the oil dipstick, the alternator, the serpentine belt, the oil filter, the oil fill, all of your reservoirs, and your battery right up top. But we're about to go for our initial driving impressions on our 0 to 60. Something interesting is our density altitude today is over 5,000 feet, meaning this vehicle is down on power almost 20%. So this 2.5 liter Boxer, if you live at altitude or elevation like I do, it's actually only making about as much power as the 2 liter would at sea level. But let's drop the hood and see what it can do. Time to time travel and teleport you to one of my favorite roads, and we'll see how it drives. Initial driving impressions of the Crosstrek Sport. A little half throttle action. If you're gonna get a Crosstrek, I strongly recommend the 2.5 liter Boxer. These seriously pull so much better than the regular 2 liter, especially if you're at altitude like I am here, or we're basically a mile above sea level. Otherwise, the Crosstrek rides really well. Visibility is fantastic. It's what makes a Subaru. The back seats can host full-size adults, and my backpack's having a good time knowing that it's in a safe 5-star overall crash test rated vehicle. Overall, this is a really nice place to be. Very human-centric, very ergonomically pleasing. I'm not the biggest fan of the 11.6-inch screen. I wish we had more physical buttons and knobs and things of that nature, but at least we have a volume and power button for the radio. Speaking of, the speakers in this that are not the Harman Kardon, they don't sound fantastic, but for what you're paying, it's about average in the class. It's easy to find a comfortable driving position, and when you're driving a Crosstrek and you have 8.7 inches of ground clearance, a fairly aggressive final drive ratio, and a pretty good stance on the road for being about 3,400 pounds, it really feels planted, it really feels quite capable on the road. And if you have to throw the wheel, change direction quickly, let's see how it handles. I can definitely see a little bit of body roll. It's not quite as bad as the foot longer Outback, but it is a little bit floaty. And in normal driving, that means the suspension is more forgiving. It's gonna be more comfortable. Overall though, these are extremely capable. They do exceptionally well in the snow. I had a Crosstrek for 2 years and 40,000 miles, and I really liked it before I upgraded to my Outback Wilderness. You should definitely test drive one of these. Comment below if you haven't and what your thoughts are of how it drives. Otherwise, I'm gonna show you the 0 to 60, and then we'll do our final thoughts. Sport mode on, traction control off, brake rev. True 0 to 60 came in at 8.74 seconds. Given the fact that we're 5,300 feet of density altitude, this vehicle's down on power by 18%, so that's really not that bad. Let's get to our final thoughts. My final thoughts of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Sport is that overall it's a really good vehicle, and at the price point, it competes against some other pretty good vehicles, but I think it holds its own, and I think Subaru hit the nail on the head. I used to have a 2019 Crosstrek Premium. I drove it for 2 years and 40,000 miles, and then I upgraded to my Outback Wilderness. Had this been available when I was looking at the Wilderness, I might have actually gone with this. It's more powerful than the 2 liter Premium, and you can feel the difference. With all the black accents and other copper yellow trim pieces, whatever color you want to call them, honestly, it looks really good, especially in ice silver metallic. Same color as my Outback. It doesn't look bad when it's dirty, and dang does it look good when it's clean. These dried well, they're fairly quick for what they are, and overall they're very capable, practical, good little all-wheel drive vehicles. So what are your thoughts, guys? Are you interested in one of these? Have you driven one? Have you owned one? Just tell me your thoughts and opinions. I want to know what you're comparing it to. If you like my video, please consider liking my video. That act of kindness seriously goes so far in helping this video get spread and helps my channel to grow, so I can bring you bigger, better stuff. Anyways, if you like my style, I post a few times a week. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.